If you're freelancing and you filed last year without claiming the QBI deduction, there's a real chance you handed the IRS somewhere between $2,000 and $7,000 you didn't owe. And the wild part? For freelancers under the income threshold, this is one of the simplest write-offs in the entire tax code. It's a flat 20% off your business profit. No receipts, no mileage log, no shoebox of crumpled coffee receipts. Just math. Here's the urgency. The QBI deduction, Section 198A in the code, was created by the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, and under current law it's set to sunset at the end of 2025. But Congress extended and modified the rule into 2026 through the most recent tax package, and the IRS confirmed the inflation-adjusted thresholds for tax year 2026 and Revenue Procedure 2025-32. Single filers get the full simple case deduction up to $201,775 of taxable income, and married filing jointly gets it up to $403,550. If you're under those numbers, and most freelancers I talk to are, you qualify for the easy version. The question is whether you actually know how to claim it without leaving money on Schedule 1. Let me back up for 1 second because I want you to understand what this deduction actually is before we get into who qualifies. QBI stands for Qualified Business Income. In plain English, it's the net profit from your freelance work, what's left after your business expenses but before your self-employment tax and before your personal deductions. If you made 80 grand on 1099s and spent 15 grand on legitimate business expenses, your QBI is 65,000. Section 10990A says you get to deduct 20% of that number, $13,000, straight off your taxable income. Not off your tax bill, off the income the tax is calculated on. So, in the 22% federal bracket, that $13,000 deduction is worth about $2,800 in your pocket. Real money. And the IRS's own data from the most recent statistics of income release shows roughly 26 million returns claimed QBI in a single filing year, with an average deduction north of $15,000 per return. This isn't some obscure loophole. It's mainstream. The people missing it are missing it because nobody told them it existed. Now, who actually qualifies? There are really 4 boxes you need to check, and if you check all 4, you're in the simple lane. Box 1. You need pass-through business income. That means a sole proprietorship reported on Schedule C, a single-member LLC that hasn't elected to be taxed as a C-Corp, a partnership, or an S-Corp. If you're a freelancer getting 1099 NEC forms and filing a Schedule C, you are textbook pass-through. W-2 income doesn't count. Capital gains don't count. Interest and dividends don't count. Only the profit from your actual freelance hustle. And honestly, I think this is where most people get confused. They assume QBI applies to all their income, panic about the threshold, and then don't claim anything. It only applies to the business profit line. Box 2. Your taxable income. And this is the part people miss. Your taxable income has to be under the threshold I mentioned. For 2026, that's $201,775 single, $403,550 joint, per the IRS inflation adjustments. Taxable income, not gross revenue, not adjusted gross income. Taxable income is the number near the bottom of your 1040, after the standard deduction or itemized deductions come out. So if you grossed $220 on 1099s but you had 40 grand of business expenses, a solo 401k contribution of 25 grand, and the standard deduction of 15 grand, your taxable income is well under the threshold even though your gross looked scary. Your individual situation drives this. If your spouse earns a high W-2, you can blow through that joint threshold faster than you'd think, and that's when the rules get ugly. Box 3. The income has to come from a U.S. trade or business. If you're a freelancer based in the States serving U.S. clients, fine. If you've moved to Lisbon and you're running everything through a foreign entity, different conversation, and I'd send you to an actual cross-border CPA for that one. Box 4. Under the threshold, the SSTB rule, the specified service trade or business rule that traps high-earning consultants, lawyers, and financial advisors, does not apply to you. This is the part I want you to actually hear. Below the income threshold, it doesn't matter if you're a consultant, a therapist, a freelance attorney, a financial planner, a performer, a health professional. The SSTB restriction only kicks in above that $201,775, $403,550 line. Under it, everyone qualifies the same way. So if you've been reading scary articles about SSTBs and assuming you're locked out, you're not. Not at this income level. Here's where it gets interesting and where I see the most expensive mistakes. The deduction is 20% of your QBI, but it's capped at 20% of your taxable income minus your net capital gains. Translation: if your business profit is huge, but your taxable income is tiny because of other deductions, the cap can clip you. Let me run a real number. Say you're single, you netted $90,000 on Schedule C, you contributed $18,000 to a solo 401k, you paid about $6,300 in deductible self-employment tax, and you took the 2026 standard deduction of $15,750. Your QBI is still $90,000. The retirement contribution and SC tax deduction don't reduce QBI itself, but your taxable income is roughly $50,000. 20% of QBI is $18,000. 20% of taxable income is $10,000. You get the smaller number, $10,000. That cap surprises people every single year. Let me walk one more because I want this to be muscle memory. Married couple, joint filers. One spouse pulls $120,000 W-2, the other freelances and nets $60,000 on Schedule C. Combined gross is around $180,000. After the freelancer's SC tax deduction of about $4,200, a solo 401k contribution of $15,000, and the joint standard deduction of $31,500 for 2026, taxable income lands near $129,000. QBI is $60,000. Only the freelance side counts. 20% of that is $12,000. 20% of taxable income is roughly $25,800. $12,000 is smaller, so they take $12,000. In the 22% bracket, that's about $2,600 of federal tax saved, plus whatever their state allows, and a handful of states piggyback on this. Now the part nobody talks about. QBI does not reduce your self-employment tax. SE tax is 15.3% on the first $176,100 of net earnings for 2025 wages base, indexed up slightly for 2026, and it's calculated before QBI ever enters the picture. So if you hear someone say the 20% write-off saves you 20% on everything, no. It saves you 20% of your business profit off your federal income tax base only. SE tax is its own animal. This is the same reason I keep telling people that opening a solo 401k late is the single most expensive freelancer mistake, because retirement contributions reduce taxable income, which can help you stay under the QBI threshold and lower your income tax in the same move. Two birds. Quick legislative aside because the history matters for what's coming. QBI was originally written as a temporary fix to give pass-through businesses something comparable to the corporate rate cut from 35% down to 21%. It was always set to expire. The 2026 extension locked the deduction in for the foreseeable future and bumped the thresholds, but the rules can shift again, and the IRS has been quietly tightening guidance on what counts as a trade or business versus a hobby. Translation: keep your freelancing looking like a business. Separate bank account, invoices, some kind of profit motive on paper. One more trap before we wrap: the aggregation rule. If you run 2 freelance gigs, say you do design work and you also teach a workshop on the side, you can either treat them as separate QBI streams or aggregate them. Below the threshold, it almost never matters because you're getting the flat 20% either way. But if one of those side gigs runs at a loss, that loss reduces your total QBI, and a lot of tax software handles this badly. Check the math on Form 8995. That's the simple one-page form for filers under the threshold. If your software is making you fill out 8995A and you're nowhere near the income limit, something is wrong with how it categorized your income, and I'd push back before signing. What most freelancers get wrong with all of this: they think QBI is automatic. It's not. You have to file Form 8995, the short one if you're under the threshold, and it has to attach to your 1040. If you skip the form, you skip the deduction. The IRS isn't going to mail you a check for the 20% you forgot. And if you've missed it on a prior year, you can amend up to 3 years back using Form 1040X. I've seen freelancers recover 4-figure refunds doing exactly that. So if 2023 or 2024 went out the door without Form 8995 attached, look at your returns this week. I'm not a licensed CPA or financial advisor. This is general education for freelancers, not personalized advice. If this kind of breakdown is useful, subscribe. It's the easiest way to make sure the freelancer-specific stuff actually shows up in your feed instead of the generic W-2 advice. And if there's a freelance tax or retirement question you've been chewing on, drop it in the comments and I'll work it into a future video. I read them. I work with 1099 earners on tax and retirement strategy, and the questions you ask shape what I cover next.